Hi, everybody. Welcome. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, so welcome to our pediatrics lecture, teaching you how pediatrics are relevant to the topic of sexuality. I'm your instructor, Chris. This is the first week we'll be doing a special topic, and as a reminder, each module will have a topic that will highlight that's relevant to sexuality. This week, it's lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer questioning, intersex, and asexual plus people. As a reminder, this course is not comprehensive. It's going to teach you everything. It's not going to teach you everything about each topic. But it will hopefully help you learn how to be an ally and resource for your clients, be an informed and helpful member of your interprofessional team, and an educated practitioner on this really critical component of being a human being. So let's get started. When we're thinking about our role in addressing sexuality with pediatric clients, who and what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about people ages 0 to 17. Sexuality is relevant in all settings, so you can address it with these clients in clinics, schools, treatment rooms, homes, hospitals, in an age-appropriate, context-specific manner. Sexuality is usually not the reason the client will be referred to you, but it might come up anyways. Sexuality is a key part of pediatric development, yet healthcare providers are often avoiding discussing it despite youth expressing a desire for these conversations. Sexual development and related skills form from hormonal changes to relationship skills, requires a multidisciplinary approach and can be addressed by various health professionals. Providing sexual health education on consent, boundary setting, desires, and contraception can empower youth to have fulfilling sexual experiences, whether it's abstaining from sex, exploring sexual orientation, using birth control. This education enhances both mental and physical health. For example, a 2021 study by Bonder and his team found that many youth with disabilities feel uncertain about their sexuality, experience low self-esteem, and suffer from isolation and depression due to a lack of proper education. Without these resources, they struggle to form a healthy sexual identity or navigate sexual situations safely. By offering education, especially to youth with disabilities, we can help prevent these negative outcomes. Um, an article by Fuzzle in 2021 highlighted that LGBTQ youth who who face higher emotional and physical health risks than their peers need to discuss sexuality with healthcare providers. Bonder, the one I referred to before from 2021, point out that youth with disabilities are often infantilized and denied the opportunity to explore their sexuality, reinforcing harmful stereotypes about asexuality. Restricting these conversations, even with a protective intent, can hinder sexual curiosity and impede healthy sexual development and decision making in adulthood. Um, Another article by Lung, I think 2022, emphasized that when children can explore their identities free of shame, they are better equipped to accept and appreciate differences in others, which is so cool. I just want to like circle back to that. It is quite wonderful what we can do. Um, the Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence developed the Wholesome Bodies curriculum to address the importance of sexual education for youth. Their curriculum highlights that avoiding discussions on sexuality deprives youth from essential information on boundaries, consent, pleasure, safe sex, and just simple self-understanding. This lack of dialogue can contribute to a culture of silence around sexual assault, making individuals feel isolated or ashamed. It also prevents children from developing healthy relationship skills, such as discussing sexual desires and knowing when and how to say no. So, open, age-appropriate conversations about sexuality are key to creating a supportive culture where sexual violence can be identified and addressed. As we will discuss during this lecture, the literature shows that pediatric clients want their health professionals to discuss sexuality with them and think that health professionals think it's necessary and appropriate to address. Some of the main reasons it's not happening is lack of training and health professionals' discomfort. So, if you integrate sexuality into your practice, you will become an evidence-based practitioner. So, good job for being here. Sexuality is relevant to pediatric clients of all ages, as we have addressed. Infants begin forming the foundation for future relationships through attachment, vulnerability, and early gendering based on societal expectations like toys and colors. In toddlers, socialization grows and they learn about body autonomy, consent, and appropriate touch. As children age, their understanding of consent and body autonomy deepens, helping them navigate more complex social situations and identify their wants and boundaries. Understanding the historical context of sexuality education is key when working with pediatric clients. What kids learn in school directly impacts their understanding of sexuality and can reveal gaps in their knowledge. And while we can't control what they find online, school lessons can either reinforce or challenge the overload of information kids are getting online about sex and sexuality. As healthcare providers, it's our ethical responsibility to ensure clients have access to accurate and inclusive sexuality education whenever possible. Sex ed in public schools has been debated since the 1960s when it first became a requirement, and abstinence-only programs became widely adopted and are still used today. Abstinence-only programs focus on promoting celibacy until marriage, usually omitting information on contraception, safe sex, and often include inaccuracies. They emphasize moral or religious values, but have been criticized for being a lot less effective than comprehensive sex ed in reducing teen pregnancy and STIs. So they're doing the opposite of what they're intending to do. CDC statistics show that 55% of teens have had intercourse by age 18. Abstinent-only programs deny youth informed consent, a key medical ethics principle that ensures individuals understand the risks, benefits, and alternatives before making decisions. That's 55%. Like, come on. We gotta give these people what they need. Comprehensive sex ed is a more effective alternative to abstinence-only programs. It covers not just anatomy, contraception, but also talks about pleasure, healthy relationships, communication, consent, and really empowers individuals to have respectful and fulfilling sexual experiences. Much sex education focuses on avoiding harmful experiences and emphasizing consent as a way to prevent quote unquote bad sex. In contrast, pleasure-based education highlights the positive aspects of sex and relationships, teaching students how to have safe, enjoyable, and healthy sexual experiences. It normalizes pleasure in both sex and relationships, encouraging healthy connections with oneself and partners. Pleasure-based education fosters healthier relationships by focusing on cultivating pleasure, not just avoiding harm. This approach can be tailored for all ages, from teaching young children that pleasure is positive, to discussing consent and body autonomy with older kids, and like teaching kids how to have safe boundaries around pleasure. In addition to monitoring sex ed policies, it's important to be aware of your state's policies on LGBTQ plus inclusive sex ed. Currently, only 10 states require LGBT topics and affirming language in sex education, which is mind-blowing, covering issues like safe sex for non-heterosexual intercourse and supporting LGBT students who disclose their identity. 6 states prohibit these topics, and probably more than that now, which can lead obviously to shame and misinformation about sexuality. Clients from non-inclusive states may face higher risks of depression and suicide, so it's really crucial for us to be aware of this. You may have the opportunity to offer affirming care or reliable sexual health resources, which can be like literally life-changing for clients. Historically, LGBT identities were pathologized in the US, which you probably are aware of, viewed as mental health disorders and abnormalities. This led to medical and psychological treatment of LGBT people as deviant or diseased. And while progress has been made, remnants of this discrimination persist in societal attitudes, policies, healthcare systems, which just really contributes to ongoing medical trauma and affecting that, of course, affects the health and well-being and rights of LGBT individuals. Sodomy laws once criminalized same-sex sexual acts in the US targeting LGBT individuals, and though many like have been repealed, remnants of these laws contribute still to discrimination. Similarly, while in 2015, the oh my gosh, words, Supreme Court Obergefell Hodges versus Hodges, something like that, legalized same-sex marriage. Anti-LGBT efforts continue to challenge these rights. They are not safe, as we know. Transgender rights remain a struggle with ongoing legal and social challenges. Trans individuals face discrimination in healthcare, employment, and legal recognition, especially at the federal level, and especially with our current transphobic president stating that in America there are only two genders. So despite the progress we made, we still have a lot of fighting to do. Conversion therapy bans aim to protect LGBT minors from harmful practices, but these vary across states and will likely be changing under this current administration, unfortunately. 2025 administration, by the way. Um, HIV/AIDS policies have shifted from fear and stigmatization to a focus on prevention, treatment, reducing stigma, though access to care remains inequitable for marginalized communities. The historical and ongoing trauma resulting from these policies have led to distrust of healthcare providers among many LGBT individuals. So, as health professionals, it's essential for us to understand this history and really work hard to create inclusive, affirming environments by prioritizing education, advocating for policy reform, and offering culturally competent care to build trust and improve the well-being and health of LGBT clients. As healthcare providers, it's also essential to recognize the unique challenges that LGBT individuals face regarding sexual violence, health, and sexuality. Research shows that they are at higher risk for sexual violence and emotional and physical health issues, especially sexual minority adolescents. Heteronormative language often deters open discussions about sexuality, for example. So, by using affirming language and offering trauma-informed care, we can create inclusive, supportive spaces where all individuals feel safe, respected, and heard. Youth often rely on questionable resources like school programs, media, and online content for sexual health information, and school, but I mean like abstinence only programs. However, studies show that they view healthcare providers as credible resources and want to discuss sexuality with them, a big opportunity we are missing. Youth also hesitate to bring up sexuality with providers because they're afraid of making them uncomfortable or offending them. Many youth have noted that health professionals often avoid eye contact or show unfamiliarity with topics like gender-affirming hormone therapy. Additionally, youth feel that health professionals don't ask enough questions about their sexuality. As one participant said, when my doctor didn't ask me, it felt like maybe it's not important. The literature shows that pediatric clients are very attuned to their health professionals' level of comfort and knowledge. They can really feel when a health professional is judging them or didn't know what to say in response to their sexuality concerns. These experiences make pediatric clients avoid speaking to health professionals about sexuality, even though they see us as one of the only credible sources of sexual health information. Healthcare providers often avoid discussing, and now we're talking about healthcare providers' perspective. They avoid these conversations about concerns of offending them or their parents. Personal discomfort, often tied to cultural or religious backgrounds, is another major barrier. For example, an HP health professional from a sexually conservative household might feel uncomfortable discussing sexuality, or an HP with specific religious beliefs may not want to address issues related to same-sex couples. These behaviors prevent clients from receiving the necessary care and information that they really need to stay healthy. Um, so addressing sexuality as an HP um, is a really personal and vulnerable process, but it's our ethical duty to provide quality care. And if religious beliefs prevent us, or cultural or whatever it is, prevent us from offering certain care, we should refer clients to someone who can provide unbiased support. So, and to improve comfort, we can take steps like taking this class, good job, listening to podcasts like the Savage Love Cast, watching LGBT media, reading about sexuality. This class is a great first step, and I'm happy to provide further resources if you just want to like get more comfortable with all these terms and immerse yourself. Lastly, waiting for clients to bring up sexuality often leads to both parties avoiding the topic, leaving conversations unaddressed. So bring it up. A common barrier is that health professionals don't feel trained to address sexuality, which is why this course exists. Another challenge is lack of support in certain healthcare settings where there's unclear roles and protocols, which prevents them from discussing it with their clients. Even if sexuality isn't a part of your practice, you can be an ally by asking your workplace, what are the protocols for addressing sexuality? Do we have any rules, regulations, guideposts? What does it look like? And if they don't have a response and they don't have clear guidelines, you can sign up and be a part of work with your interdisciplinary team and advocate for the creation of such guideposts and ground rules. That way you can embolden and give confidence to yourself and other healthcare professionals to bring it up. Finally, many health professionals seek interdisciplinary collaboration as sexuality is a very broad topic, and it needs input from multiple specialties, hence this course being interprofessional. So I'd like you to pause now for like 5 minutes and write down your answer to these questions on your laptop, journal, do a little voice note on your phone. Um, the only way to identify your bias and areas for growth are to take the time to reflect on questions like these. So let's do that. Pause here. Um, Thanks for doing that. So now let's move on to our next topic, sexual development. It's the process of changes in physical growth, sexual knowledge, and sexual beliefs that youth come to learn and display through their behavior, um, other than hormones, obviously. I'd like you to try to guess the age range of each of these behaviors. They're not in chronological order. So read these, pause here, guess. I'm going to change the slide. Three, two, one. Okay, check how many you got right. The belief that adults should avoid discussing sexuality with youth to protect their innocence is very common. Um, Work done by Hobson 2023. You can see it in my references page talks about this. However, evidence shows that comprehensive, accurate sex education improves sexual health and reduces risky behavior. It's not telling them and pushing them to go do these things, it's actually reducing risky behaviors. According to the UCLA Normative Sexual Development Handout, youth start exploring sexuality like masturbation from ages 4 to 8 and engage in sexual behaviors with others from ages 9 to 12. A study found that over 70% of US adolescents report experience dating and sexual activity. Youth will explore sexuality regardless of adult intervention, and not having these conversations can hinder their sexual development and decision-making skills. Knowing the ages of sexual development helps provide age-appropriate resources for both pediatric clients and their parents. Youth with disabilities or chronic conditions have sexual needs similar to their peers, yet there's limited research on sexuality conversations between healthcare providers and these youth. And a common issue is the lack of adequate sex education for youth with disabilities. Many are excluded from general education sex ed without alternative options or modified content, leaving major information gaps due to infantilization by adults, including HPs, who assume disabled youth aren't sexual beings. These conversations often don't happen. This, combined with physical challenges affecting body image and self-esteem, leaves youth with disabilities without the resources needed to navigate sexuality. Social exclusion, lack of support, inadequate accommodations can all further contribute to isolation, low self-esteem, and difficulty forming relationships. So to address these challenges, it's essential to create inclusive, supportive environments with comprehensive, accessible sex education and resources that really respects the sexual autonomy of youth with disabilities. Here are some optional resources for your viewing pleasure if you would like to learn more about some of the topics we've explored today. For this lecture and the ones moving forward, feel free to reach out to me if you want more information or resources on any topics we've discussed, or if you have a good resource or a different understanding of any topics, please share them with Jenny or I. This first one allows you to view the US map and see which states have LGBT laws and anti-LGBT laws and policies, and which have more protection for LGBT people. Planned Parenthood has a great brief article explaining pleasure-based consent and sex education if you'd like to learn more. And lastly, Queer Sex Ed community curriculum offers free, pleasure-based, trauma-centered, trauma-informed, queer, inclusive, and socially conscious sexual health curriculum. Some of the things we'll teach you in this class are very simple and easy techniques that will make a huge difference for your clients, and others require you to dig a little deeper within yourself and maybe face some uncomfy feelings. But we'll do our best to provide a safe and welcoming space for you to learn. So thank you for being here and being ready to learn. Here are my references. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Goodbye.